सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from Canto 10, Chapter 9, Mother Yaśodā Binds Krishna, and we will be discussing verse 16 and 17 today. So can we have verses on the screen, please, Prabhu? There. Thank you. So SB 10.9.16. यदासि तदपि न्यूनम् तेन्याद् अपि सन्दधे तदपि द्विअङ्गुलं न्यूनम् यदा तद् बन्धनम् यदासि तदपि न्यूयम् तेनाद् अपि सन्धते तदपि द्विअङ्गुलं न्यूनम् यदा तद् बन्धनम्. Synonyms: yada, when; asit, became; tad api, even the new rope that had been joined; nyunam, still short; tena, then when the second rope; anyat api, another rope also; sandhate, she joined; tad api, that also; dvi angulam, by the measurement of 2 fingers; nyunam, remained short; yad adata, in this way, one after another, whatever rope she joined; bandhanam, for binding Krishna. Translation: this new rope also was short by the measurement of 2 fingers, and when another ropes were joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes she joined, all of them failed; their shortness could not be overcome. Next verse, Prabhu. Verse 17. Evam svagehamaani Yaśodā sandyata api gopinam susmaitanam smayanti vismita bhava. Evam svagehamaani Yaśodā sandyata api gopinam susmayantanam smayanti vismita bhava. Evam svagehamaani Yaśodā sandyata api gopinam susmayantam smayanti vismita bhava. Synonyms: Evam, in this manner; Evam svagehadamani, all the ropes available in the household; Yaśodā, Mother Yaśodā; Sandati api, although she was joining one after another; Gopinam, when all other elderly gopis, friends of Mother Yaśodā; Smayitinam, were all taking pleasure in this funny affair; Smayanti, Mother Yaśodā was also smiling; Vismita bhavat, all of them were struck with wonder. Translation: thus Mother Yaśodā joined whatever ropes were available in the household, but she still failed in her attempt to bind Krishna. Mother Yaśoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighborhood, were smiling in enjoying the fun. Similarly, Mother Yaśodā, although laboring in that way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with wonder. Would anyone like to read the purport, please?
I can read, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji.
Actually, this incident was wonderful because Krishna was only a child with small hands. To bind him should have required only a rope not more than 2 feet long. All the ropes in the house combined together might have been hundreds of feet long, but still he was impossible to bind. For all the ropes together were still too short. Naturally, Mother Yashoda and her gopi friends thought, how is this possible? Seeing this funny affair, all of them were smiling. The rope was short by a measurement the width of 2 fingers, and after the second rope was added, it was still 2 fingers short. Too short. If the shortness of all the ropes were added together, it must have amounted to the width of hundreds of fingers. Certainly, this was astonishing. This was another exhibition of Krishna's inconvincible potency to his mother and his mother's friends. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you so much. Such a sweet purport by Srila Prabhupada, but at the same time, it is so apt on the point. So Srimad Bhagavatam 10.33-36 says that Anugrahaya bhaktana manusham dehamashrita bhajate tvadvashi krida yashrutva tatparo bhavet. And the translation of this verse goes like, when Lord assumes the human-like body to show the mercy to his devotees, he engages in such pastime as will attract those who hear about them to become dedicated to him. So Lord appear in this world, perform this beautiful pastime so that we get attracted to him. And when we hear the narrations of Damodar Leela, when we hear the Acharya's commentary on Damodar Leela, the translation or the explanation of this verse seems so true. In Vrindavan, the love for Krishna is so much that, even though Krishna wanted to openly talk about his Godhood, that how I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one would give him an importance. If we think of an example, when so this is the conversation going on between Krishna and his friend Sridama, when Krishna told Sridama that, what, I am the God, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna in response, Sridama in response, he just laughed it out. And then Krishna started giving example, Putana, I killed Putana. And Sridama in response is like, no, it's not you, it's your mother. She requested Brahmana to recite mantras. Krishna comes up with another example. I saved all of you from the poisonous Aghasura. And then Sridama again refuted this, saying that no, you come at the very end. We were already there in the cave. And then you came and then you say, okay, you saved us. So then they talk about Govardhan Leela, and so Krishna says, I saved you from all the torrential rain that was sent by Indra. I was holding Govardhan on my finger. And Sridama again in response says that no, it's not you, it's Govardhan being so merciful upon us. Actually, he made himself very lightweight so that you don't have to take efforts. So when Krishna tries to show to the Vrajvasis that I am Krishna, I have this potency. But because the love of Krishna is so much, love of Vrajvasi towards Krishna is so much that his majestic or his opulence get overpowered by that love. Keshav Maharaj in one of his class, actually, he said that, we all need this philosophy to understand the supreme absolute truth, but happiness is what our heart hankers. And when we hear Krishna's pastime, we hear Vrajvasi's love of Krishna, we feel the joy, we feel that satisfaction. And how can we say that? So Damodar, this is the Ekadashi Day. So since last 10 days, we have been hearing devotees sharing Damodar Leela and their realization in Bhagavatam class. And if anyone has observed, we can see the smile and the pleasure on their face when they share these pastimes. So that is the beauty of Krishna's pastime. That is the beauty of talking about Krishna. So in Damodar Lila, as the verse says, we are at the stage where Mother Yaśodā, with the intention to bind Krishna, she was actually extending the length of the ropes one after another, and she was unsuccessful on all in her all attempts. On Wednesday, His Grace Shakirai Prabhu actually talked about this, that when Mother Yaśodā decided to bind Krishna, what first she does, she actually takes out the silken golden thread from her braid, from the top of her braid, and tried to bind her belly, which was short, of course. So then she took out the braid from the end of took out the rope from the end of her braid. She ties the knot together, and then she tries to bind the Krishna again, and that was short again. So then what she does, she actually asks her maidservants to go inside the house and get all the ropes that were present there, and then she was holding a Krishna till then. So she put Krishna's hand on the side and start tying one ropes with another by extending the length. And as in the Popat says that all the length of all the ropes tied together could have been easily sufficient enough to bind Krishna's belly with the mortar, but to the surprise, it was again 2 finger too short. And so while this was happening, while the while the maids of Mother Yaśodā actually came with the ropes and bring them outside where the pastime was happening, in the meantime, what happens is, hearing the commotion, the Vrajvasis had actually gathered around. They were at the gate of Nand Baba's house, and because it was Diwali, everyone was very nicely dressed. In order to perform the festivities. But little did they know that they would be attending a festival much greater than the festival of light, and they would be participating in the supreme festival of Premavali. Premavali means that Krishna gets bound by the love of the Mother Yaśodā. Now, it is not only villagers that are present there, but the divine arrangement was such that there were demigods from heaven who was also present there, and there were birds, there were monkeys, there were gopis, there were children. So it is like a show happening there, and all those who were gathered, each of them had their own perspective of the mission that Mother Yaśodā was going to undertake, binding Krishna with the rope. Vrajvasis have their own viewpoint. They were thinking, because they see Krishna as their Lala. They were softened by Krishna's sweetness. Demigods who were present there, who were looking the pastime from the heaven, actually they were illuminated by Krishna's opulence. Of course, Vrajvasi's viewpoint, seeing Krishna as their Lala, is on the higher platform because of their love and affection and their mood of service in a motherly way. And so the surrender is higher, the desire to please Krishna is higher. So the viewpoint of Vrajvasi, seeing Krishna, seeing their Lala getting bound by Mother Yaśodā, there is affection, there is compassion that flows in the heart. It is much higher than the demigods who sees Krishna as their master. Demigod would see that, oh, Krishna is our master. He is all pervasive. He is limitless. He is the supreme personality of Godhead, whose body is Satchidananda Vigraha. He can't be bound. So the mode of service there is awe and reverence. And Krishna basically reciprocates with that mood accordingly. Demigods, and it's not only that, when they have a viewpoint, there is a discussion amongst them what happens. So demigods who were witnessing this pastime from the heaven, they were having discussion among themselves. And there is a very nice description in book Damodar Janani about that discussion. The entire description is quite long, but I just want to share a couple of points from there, which I would read straight from the book. So these are basically demigods discussing among themselves. As Yaśodā Devi held the cord with which she would tie Krishna's belly, the demigods excitedly conversed amongst themselves. How is it possible that this gopi thinks that she can bind the all-pervading one, who cannot even be measured? Another demigod responds, call it the illusion of love. Since the love of Lord Krishna has no beginning or no end, na purvam na pichaparam, where is the twin long enough to encircle his infinite proportion? Where she will find it? And the Devas conferred among themselves, analyzing philosophically how Krishna's transcendental form was without limits. By doing so, they tested spiritual bliss. So Krishna, demigods seeing Krishna as their master, and demigods relating Krishna's ability, inconceivability, all pervasiveness. So they are thinking all this thing, all their viewpoint on this pastime is logical. And then the conversation keeps on going. There were so many demigods present, and each and every demigod who were gathered there, they had something to share. But at the end, actually, one demigod said that they look at each other and say that, you know what, looking at each other, and then at the Yaśodā Devis, the celestial sang in chorus, and she wants to encircle Krishna with the cord and tie him with the mortar. That would be truly inconceivable. And then one great demigod said, it would, but it is likely that we will see it. So though they're saying that though it seems inconceivable, but it is likely that they will witness it. How can you say such extraordinary thing? Another demigod asked. Because in the same way the power of Lord's grace makes his unmanifested form visible to our eyes, it is most likely by the same grace he will enable Queen Yaśodā to bind him, and by the same grace still he may will grant us to eyes to see that happen. So the same grace, by the same energy that Krishna is actually becoming difficult for Mother Yaśodā to bind Krishna, by the same grace, Krishna might get bound. And the demigod in the position of humility says that, and by the same grace, if Krishna desires me, we may as well gain the vision to see the beautiful pastime. So you know how the eagerness that has been created in all who was witnessing this pastime, and the conversation actually further goes on, and it's very beautiful. So I thought I'll just read that. So the demigods were further eager to know what teaching would impart it to them by such pastime. But before they could ask, another topic emerged. How was the unmanifested Lord known to the intelligence mind, or senses? And so they conversed. The Lord is a dokshaja, the transcendental to knowledge gained by senses, gross and subtle. So he can be only seen by a special grace. Another demigod saying, indeed, everything that was conditioned showed experience made possible by the agency of his potencies. But that is his common mercy. Another demigod saying, yes, beyond this material nature lies an eternal spiritual nature, which is unmanifested, avyaktam, to even those who have common mercy. Therefore, it requires a special mercy to see him in his original transcendental force. So there is a mercy of Krishna lying everywhere. We just need to tap in, as I shared in one of the classes few weeks ago. But in order to see Krishna, we need a special mercy. And why is that? Because he is avyakta. Avyakta means unmanifested. Krishna is not visible. Krishna So avyakta means, as I said, unmanifested. And what it means, it indicates that Krishna exists beyond the manifested dream, so beyond the material world that we can see and we can perceive. But at the same time, so when an empirical philosophers or someone who tries to understand Krishna with the logic, he remains unmanifested. Because Krishna, being who is all-pervasive, who is inconceivable, who is everywhere, he can't be bound by he can't be bound by with the rope. So Mother Yaśodā, but Mother Yaśodā conceived him nothing other than his son. So Krishna hid his unmanifest. Krishna made himself. Krishna hid his various potencies, his majesty, just to confirm his conception of his humanity. And this is, where does this come from? Because before this pastime occurred, there was a pastime where Krishna actually showed, Krishna performed the pastime of eating the dirt, and Mother Yaśodā seeing the entire universe in her mouth. And that, for that fraction of moment, Mother Yaśodā started thinking that, is my Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself? This is not normal. And to make sure that Mother Yaśodā forgets that he is just an ordinary, Krishna is just an ordinary human, he performs this human-like pastime where he cries, he gets bound, he hides all his inconceivable, extraordinary potency. And the conversation between demigods continue. So yeah, coming back to this, the demigod, so who initially said that, we might get to see Krishna as well. We might get to see Krishna being bound as well. He says that, behold, that beautiful child, possessed of a human-like form, Mritya Lingam. Mritya Lingam means, Mritya means mortal, and Lingam is a body. So behold, that beautiful child, possessed of a human-like form, Mritya Lingam. That is the original form of Godhead. The fact that we see him indicates that we are the recipient of some degree of special mercy. So demigod saying that the fact that they are able to see the Krishna's form, human-like form, which is the original form of Krishna, it is the special mercy of Krishna. And yesterday in class, His Grace Jamadagni Prabhu very nicely said that when we get to hear about this pastime, we get to speak about this pastime, that is also very special mercy of Krishna. And when we think like that, that is a special mercy of Krishna, that's when we start putting value into it. Otherwise, it can remain at a very simple platform on a simple majestical story. Coming back to the conversation between the demigods. So, is that why you suggested that we may be privileged to see his pastime? The demigod responds, yes, but our privilege does not match that of Queen Yaśodā, who truly thinks that he is an ordinary child. Why is that? Because our qualification to see him is the consequence of our service, whereas her qualification to see him is a consequence of her love. I repeat the sentence. Demigod saying, because our qualification to see him is a consequence of our service, whereas her qualification to see him is a consequence of her love. Service gives us the privilege of knowing his majesty, while the love gives her privilege of knowing his sweetness. I repeat this sentence also. Service gives us the privilege of knowing his majesty. By serving, by the servitude, servitorship, we can understand, we can know that Krishna is the Supreme Master. But with love, one gets the privilege of knowing Krishna's sweetness. And so then we were asking a question, is this a superiority of a spontaneous love over the regulated service? The lesson to be learned from this pastime? The demigod responds, yes, that is. May the Lord instruct us in the way that he has planned. So the demigod concludes the discussion that is the superiority of a spontaneous love over regulated service. So basically the pastime teaching that the love is far more superior far more, the spontaneous love is far more superior than the regulated service. Okay, so then what we perform is regulated service, but this is what we can do. We hear, we have heard this time and again, and every time there has been a discussion or a discourse on a Damodar Lila, these 2 points are always mentioned, that these 2 fingers, the Dviangulam that were short, what do they represent? They represent our efforts, our endeavors, and the second represent Krishna's mercy, Krishna's grace. And how is that? Because what happens is, if devotee only puts the efforts and deprives of Krishna's grace, then they cannot bind Krishna. Then the loop is incomplete. The other Mother Yaśodā was putting so much effort to bind Krishna, but she couldn't bound it. And so putting endeavor is in our hand, putting endeavor is in devotee's hand, but getting Krishna's hand is not in our hand. It is out of control. So it only comes when Krishna sees that he is pleased with our efforts, he is pleased with the devotee's efforts, and that's when his grace comes. So those are the two finger that represents what actually bhakti means. And Krishna, these are the 2 factors that basically represent what actually bhakti means. So then what are these efforts of devotional service? What are these efforts for us in devotional service? And His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj very nicely in one of his article makes 3 points. First is being serious. Now, when we say word serious, one serious means that we should not be negligent of our endeavor. We should be careful in what we give importance to. You know, when we are driving a car, we are very careful so that we don't end up having an accident, or we don't end up hitting someone by accident. So same importance needs to be given when we chant our round, when we perform our service. When we chant our rounds, mind is going to wander, because that's his nature. But and every time, as like an expert pilot, we had this analogy multiple times, that like an expert pilot, we had to bring it back to on Krishna. So that is our endeavor, being serious for our devotional service. That is our endeavor. And the famous quote that His Holiness Kadam Kanan Maharaj says, we have to be serious about serious things. So in our all material activities, generally we are serious. When it's come to study, when it's, okay, we need to study because the study is very important in maintaining ourselves materially. But when it comes to spiritual activity, we need to be equally serious or even more serious, because the spiritual activities or spiritual practices, that it is beyond this lifetime. It is just not for this lifetime. Now the second point Maharaj makes is being sincere. Sincere means what? Sincere means being free from pretense. Mahavishnu Maharaj, he nicely actually said this, that insincerity is actually related to cheating propensity. So when insincerity creeps in our devotional service, then basically nobody can help. And how would we understand that? So if I'm not sincere, then if I'm not serious, then it is only harming me, because then I'm not focused on my service, so I'm not progressing further, or whatever has happened. But if I am pretender, and if I'm trying to preach something which I'm not practicing, then others are affected too. So being sincere and being serious, these are the 2 important things that Mahavishnu Maharaj says. And the third important thing that he said is consistency in being serious and sincere. Srimad Bhagavatam says that our devotional service needs to be ahaituki and apratihata, uninterrupted and unmotivated, in order to completely satisfy, or in order to do a pure devotional service. But our devotional service or devotional activities, if they are not steady or consistent, Maharaj nicely explains that means we are in the mode of passion. So that means one day we wake up early to chant our rounds, the other day we feel tired and we don't. Or one day we are so sincerely read our scriptures, or we perform our activity with the focus of pleasing Krishna, the other day we are. And Srila Prabhupada actually, and insincerity, another point Maharaj says that insincerity is a mode of ignorance. Because why? Insincerity is mode of ignorance because in that case, in the mode insincerity, we are trying to preach something which we are not practicing. Srila Prabhupada says that even if we are 1% sincere, we do not have to come back to this material world. So whatever defect may be there in our process of worship doesn't matter. Sincerity of a purpose is the only requirement. And if we can connect this with our material endeavors, then these two things actually hold value there also. For example, if someone wants to become a doctor, the study of medicine is very hard. One needs to be serious about their study, and one needs to be sincere about their study. So same applies when it comes to practicing our devotional activities. So we should always be introspecting in our intention, in our motivation when we are practicing our devotional service, because in example of this pastime, Mother Yaśodā was churning the butter herself. Now she had many maidservants, and she could have asked them to do this service, and they would have easily done it. But her intention was to feed Krishna's the best butter she could. So then she takes an effort of selecting so many cows out of 900 cows. Then she goes an effort of feeding them grass, and out of those grass, only one cow gets get the milk of those 8 cows. So she takes an effort of churning the butter, giving the milk and making the butter out of that milk. So that is sincerity, that is seriousness. So every now and then, and Damodar month, because we puts this practice right in front of the face, that it's a time we should do it throughout the year, but specifically in this month, because we hear it now and again, we are reminded it time and again. We should introspect that am I true to my intention to please Krishna? Am I true in my intention to do my devotional service? And sorry, I realized I'm 4 minutes over 7. Please accept my apologies. I would stop here. If anyone would like to share any comments or any correction, any realization, please feel free to unmute and share. Okay. Someone saying something? Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you for the wonderful class. I really like that point you mentioned, that insincerity is in mode of ignorance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was from Maharaj. I was just repeating. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay. We will conclude our session today. Krishna willing, we'll again see you tomorrow for our discussion on Damodar Lila on this chapter. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, this evening if we can come to help in the preparation of Diwali and Golden Puja. The devotees are starting about 5:30. So request everyone to come please and help us out for setting up and chopping veggies, etc. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'll come for a little bit, but I can't promise the exact time, but I'll come in the evening.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Prabhuji. What time? What time we can help?
From 5:30, you can come and till.
Okay, we'll be there, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.